Yes, y'all. If you hear the wolf sounds in the background, you already know we 10 toes down. DMV in the building, let's get it. So I want to talk about this social justice issue. I want to talk about Colin Kaepernick. I want to talk about the brothers that support Colin Kaepernick. I want to talk about some of the things that are happening in the world that I have an issue with. And I want to talk about the con that I think that may be occurring that people aren't waking up to. And some people share my thoughts and are like-minded as I am, small percentage. But I know the majority won't like this. But I think it's good to hear another perspective just to get people to think. But I do understand that a lot of people, because they don't want to hear something contrary to what they believe or that they want to believe, won't entertain some real talk. And that's fine. I also want to talk about self-preservation. And you're going to hear that a lot in this podcast here, self-preservation. So I want y'all to understand something. That anybody that says they're down for a cause, but place self-preservation first and foremost over anything, even the cause, it's not real and never was. Let me say that again. If you have anybody that says that they are down for a cause, place self-preservation before anything else, even the cause, is not and never was down for the cause. So, Brother Colin Kaepernick, I'm going to start with you. I want to ask a question. If anybody in the comments have the answer to this question, feel free. But I want to ask this question, brother. How come you never talk? And I'm not just saying little bits and pieces here and there. When something occurs that you don't like, you make a comment about it. I'm talking about how come you're not the voice for social justice or social change in our country for Black Americans? You appear to be the face for social justice toward Black America, but you're not the voice. You don't ever speak. So nobody knows what you're thinking or what you want. Nobody can identify, but there's always people speaking for you or speaking on behalf of you. See, I consider myself a little bit of a historian. So I like to look back into heroes in the past, like our grandmothers and our parents and our great-great-grandparents had. I like to look at a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I like to look at a Medgar Evers. I like to look at a Malcolm X. I like to look at a Nat Turner. I like to look at a Harriet Tubman. I like to look back and see people that were not only the face of movements, a Marcus Garvey, but were the voice of movements. See, it's important to speak. The Bible says that God said, let there be light. He could have just snapped or moved a finger or thought about it, but he said, let there be light. See, it's important to speak. It's important to be identified with the words that we speak. Words are important. Jesus said, it is finished. He spoke things into existence. It's important to speak because people identify with you when you speak. People have things to hold on. People have things to analyze. People have things to archive. People have things to keep with them when you speak. Why don't you speak? Is it the fact that you won't speak because you feel that if you do speak, it may close the casket, or it may close your opportunity for good about getting back into the NFL? Is it that collusion settlement that you came to an agreement with the NFL says that you can't speak negatively on the NFL or its owners or its team or anybody else? Or is it the fact that you're hoping to get back into the NFL so bad that you don't want to burn that bridge, so you rather just remain quiet and let others speak for you? That sounds like self-preservation first before the cause. Tell me if I'm wrong. That sounds like I'm going to put myself first before the actual cause. Because if you were for the movement, you would speak regardless and sacrifice for the greater good, like those heroes of the past that I mentioned. See, people praise this man as if he's the next Stokely Carmichael. People praise this man like he's the next Bobby Steele or Huey P. Newton. He's not. And see, I don't always agree with Jason Whitlock. I don't even like Jason Whitlock. But I'm smart enough to know how to separate the messenger from the message. And if we would open up our ears and sometimes listen, you would see that this man is speaking a lot of things that make sense and are probably correct. That this man has handlers. And that these handlers are marketing, because now social justice is popular now. It's profitable now. So everybody that's on the back end of their careers or no longer relevant are now hopping on board because they feel that this is my way of getting relevant again. But they weren't on board day one. They're on board when their career is on the back burner. They're on board when their career is on a downward spiral. Now everybody wants to be pro-black. Everybody wants to be woke. Everybody wants to be for the cause now. Everybody wants to be for the cause. Everybody wants to. But it's marketable now. I mean, they have this brother Colin in black coats, afro out, like this brother Panther. But he won't speak. He won't jeopardize. He will not jeopardize self-preservation for the cause. And if you have a man that will not jeopardize self-preservation for the cause, he is not real. This man is partnered with Nike. Nike is one of the biggest contributors to the Republican Party and the so-called racist Donald Trump, which is a whole nother podcast in itself. Not going to even get into that right now. It's time we wake up and stop being manipulated by the engine that drives these things. Because people are so easily gravitating to these brothers because they sound good. Yeah, T.I. sounds good. But he's made a life off of profiting off of speaking violence and hustling and all that other nonsense. He wasn't about this social justice change from the beginning. It's profitable now. It can rejuvenate his career and put him back on the upward trajectory now. So why not hop on board now? Why not hop on board now? Now, am I saying that Colin's initial stance is not organic? No. I think it was organic, but I also think that he didn't realize it would go where it went to. And now it's tainted. And people are riding for this man and don't understand it's tainted, man. He's been told what to do. He's being told he can't speak. So now you got, every time I can't even log on to my Facebook, I can't log on to social media without somebody always, every single day, posting about white privilege and injustice and this and that and faking like they're for the cause. But yet get up every morning, go to that white man's job and do exactly what he tells you to do. And then when you come home, get back on Facebook and act like you down for the cause. This is the era that we living in, of people just faking the funk. And ain't no more realness. Because ain't nobody going to put self-preservation secondary. These brothers are going to go and do what that man told them to do every single day. Because you're going to put self-preservation first. So hear me when I say this. That all these folks around here faking the funk and acting. See, I like Sandra Bland, excuse me. Sandra Bland was real. I like Sandra Bland because she was real for the cause. No faking the funk. No self-preservation, down for what she spoke about, down for what she believed in. She stood 10 toes down. These other jokers, guarantee you, when self-preservation is on the line, they will not stand tall because they were never for the cause. They will put self-preservation over anything. These folks, they're not like Dr. Martin Luther King. They're not like Medgar Evers. They're not like Marcus Garvey. They are not. They're faking the funk. And there's so many of them. From the media, sports analysts, rappers. These are the brothers that are the voice for social justice. T.I., Killer Mike are now the voice for social justice change in America. These are the elected officials to speak on behalf of the African American community. Okay. If y'all say so. They said Colin Kaepernick's not disrespecting the flag. And I don't have an issue with what he's doing or what he did. Since he's not in the league no more, he's not doing it anymore. He spoke to 4 servicemen, Green Beret, Navy SEALs. But 4 people don't represent the entirety of the United States military. And how many people did he speak to before he got 4 that agreed with what he was doing? The 4 people represent the entire, and I'm a service member, so I can speak. I served. I'm a veteran. I can speak on behalf of it. Do 4 people represent the entirety of the United States military? But that's another discussion in itself. What about if they feel it's disrespect? What about the majority of the people that served feel it's disrespectful? Are they discounted? Are they not down for the cause? Are they sellouts? Are they Uncle Toms? Let me know in the comments. I guess I digress. Also, Brother Colin has made it clear that he doesn't vote. Okay. That's your choice. But what I do know is that hundreds of our brothers and sisters that actually went through the struggle died for the right for you and I to not be disenfranchised, to have the ability to vote, died. So out of respect for their sacrifice, out of respect for the brothers and sisters that did sit through the sit-ins and were beaten and spit upon and dragged, for the freedom riders, both black and white, who were killed and shot at and beat, battered, and abused for the right for African Americans to vote. Out of respect, I vote. So tell me, how is it that Brother Colin Kaepernick, by his actions, promoting non-voting? And y'all follow this man? And he won't even speak. But I digress again. So tell me, how can this be anything but self-preservation? See, this brother has the ability, or had the ability, to galvanize people. And again, I believe it started organically. His heart was in the right place when it started. I believe that he did not know what it would become. He had the ability to galvanize people. The 40s, the 30-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, they was rocking with you, Brother Kaepernick, ready to go. It was the 20-year-olds, the young millennials, the 20 to 17, 18, 19-year-olds, the early 30-year-olds. Those are the ones you needed to get on board. Those are the ones that it was important to speak to. Those are the ones that would have been able to identify you, the future, the younger generation. You had the older generation in your corner, but they're working folks. So they're always going to think about self-preservation first because they got families to feed. They got houses and car notes and bills to pay. They have to think about self-preservation. So maybe they're rocking with you in spirit, but in action, it is the 20-year-olds, it's the kids fresh out of college. Those are the ones that your voice would have reached. But you remain quiet, just like a weak leader. Just like a weak leader, you remain quiet, and you lost that group. You've lost those young millennials because you did not speak. And that was why it's important that you had to make the decision to sacrifice your NFL career for the greater good of the movement. But you thought about self-preservation first and lost that group, thereby hindering the movement, the progression of it. And that's my issue. Self-preservation cost the forward progression of a movement. So you was never rocking with it, because you wouldn't give your life for it. You wouldn't give your career for it. You wouldn't sacrifice your wealth for it. All these NFL players people are now talking about, oh, let's boycott the NFL. None of them have sacrificed a check for it. None of them has turned down a check or left the NFL or stopped playing. Why would you boycott when they haven't done anything? They have put self-preservation before anything. Why you stop watching NFL? Doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. They have not turned down a check and won't. And if Colin Kaepernick is brought back in the NFL, then what? How would that impact you? How would that impact your life? The man was given a check to be quiet, to not say anything, and he took it. If not, why is he speaking against the injustices of the NFL? Why is he so pressed to get back in the league? Or not, who knows, because the man doesn't speak. But people are speaking for him. Ebro. The brothers, come on, man. Shannon Sharpe. None of these brothers date black women. Oh, you say, well, why is that important? It's important. And I don't care. Love who you love. But don't be fake. You don't think that it's important that if you so pro-black that you don't share your wealth, your home, your heart, your mind, your deepest thoughts with a black woman? But you're pro-black? Or you're pro for the cause? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I digress. Black woman ain't good enough for you. But a lot of these guys have already experienced the privilege. Shannon Sharpe sits every morning next to a man. I have to question if he's a bigot or not. I have to. The way I see the man treat Kawhi Leonard, I have to ask. You call a man number 2? You don't address him by his name because he did something you don't like. Forget about what's best for his career. Forget about what was best for his health. Forget about how they done him and made him feel, how he was isolated. He did something that you didn't like because it impacted the team that you love. And now you disregard this man as even being a man to be recognized by his name. You call him number 2 by his number. The least valued thing about him. Anybody can get that number. Multiple people share that number. When he leaves the team, somebody else can get that number. You call him number 2. That means that I don't even see you valued enough of a man to even call you by your name. You might as well call a man a nigger. And not once has Shannon Sharpe corrected this man. Told him, don't disrespect this man like this. How it comes off. Why? Because self-preservation will come before anything. He has a good job. A job that brings money and notoriety. So you'll sit next to that man and allow him to disrespect this black man in front of your face. And then act like, oh, he's bipartisan. I'm even down the middle. Get out of here, man. You got to stop with these fake folks, man. So many of these brothers are so fake. They not really for the cause. They care about self-preservation first and foremost. And will not jeopardize that for any cause. It just sounds good to the ear. When ESPN did what they did to Jemele Hill, and though I disagree with Jemele Hill's stance on black athletes, and I have my reasons that I put in another blog, I like Jemele Hill because she's always been down. She's always been real. when ESPN did what they did to her, besides Michael Smith, who came to her aid, not Stephen A. He's not going to sacrifice self-preservation for what's right. None of them will. So when you start identifying with these brothers and these sisters that are speaking to speak, they're talking the talk, but they're not walking the walk. If they will not put the cause before their own self, if they will not risk their life for the cause, if they will not risk their livelihood for the cause, they will not stand tall when the test comes. Guarantee it. They will not stand up against this white man. They will do exactly what he wants them to do when it comes down to it. Stop faking this, man. This is why we don't have real leaders like our ancestors did. We have phonies and guys that are halfway in, 1 foot out. They wasn't born and bred about this thing, man. This thing comes from the inner body, the inner soul. Things that you experienced since an adolescent. To have a heart for poor people, you had to grow up poor, man. To have a heart for veterans, you had to serve in the military. Or had somebody in your family that was close to you, a spouse, serve. To have a passion about violence, you had to be affected, lose a child or a husband or a spouse or a wife or somebody to violence. It has to come from deep in your soul. It's not just something that you just do. You wake up in the morning because if it's not rooted in you, you easily will be picked out the ground. You'll fold when the tests come. He'll fold when the test comes. Because he'll put himself before anything. And along with the rest of them. They ain't going to risk it all for this cause. And it's important that people understand that, man. Before you start casting your lots with these folks. And believing everything that these folks saying and riding and dying with these folks. I'm for the cause, but I want real people leading it. I want Sandra Bland's. I want people like Sandra Bland being the voice. I want people that's really actually out there on the ground working that we've never heard of, that's been doing it since day one, that's been out in the projects helping these lower income and lower class folks for since they were in their adolescence. These are the people that you haven't even heard about out there doing stuff. Those are the folks that are the voice of this movement. Not some fake dude that fell into it. That won't even talk. That won't be the voice of the movement. That shows lack of leadership. Weak. No direction. This is why everybody can jump into it and have their opinion and everybody is against each other. There's no organization because this man won't step up and be the voice, the face, the organizer. He's weak. And he's nothing like our grandparents had. Nothing will get done. This is why young black boys are still out here getting killed. Because the man was silenced. His handlers told him not to speak. Just pull your afro out and wear your black coat and look like a panther. And these dumb, ignorant Negroes will follow you because they don't know no better. Because they're not smart enough or wise enough to see what's going on. Make a mockery out of them. Man don't even vote. It's disrespectful to the people that died for us to even get the right to do so. That means you ain't in touch with your history. Disenfranchise yourself. It makes no sense. And then for people to encourage it. When it's important that we have the right to vote. It's ridiculous, man. Weak leadership. Weak. And I don't ride with nobody that's weak. This is your boy Carter. Talk to me in the comments, like, subscribe, dislike, whatever. Just show me you there. Peace.